Accept your death.
So I have this outlet in my house that just randomly seems to blow the breaker, and I've had like an electrician come in and look at it and like, yeah, no, can't find any problems with it. And I replace the plug and all that kind of stuff. And like, it's just so random, just randomly blows the breaker. And then it just like had me thinking how little I know about this world. Like, I would be a terrible time traveler. Like, if I went back like 200 years ago and I had all this cool stuff with me, I was check it out. You know, this is electricity. And then people would be like, how's it work? And I'd be like, I don't know.
You got anyone smart that can reverse engineer this thing?
Yeah, right.
I would just, that remind when I was in college and taking a physics course on electricity and magnetism, and they go over this whole thing, positive goes one way, negative goes the other because they're inverse from each other, right? And so they knew that, but they didn't know which one was positive and which one was negative. And so they guessed, and they guessed wrong, right? But instead of like changing it once, years later or whatever, instead of like changing it, like the magnetic field's going to flip anyway, and it will be correct like one day or whatever. So they just left it. But that's like so funny. So you time travel back, right? And they're like, oh, what's the answer? What's the correct direction? You're like, I don't know.
Can't help you guys. Sorry, like
you're like wearing your Bart Simpson shirt and your Crocs and
yeah. What's the Wi-Fi password here, guys? What's that? How does that work? I don't know. That would be funny though. I think about that often, about how like our society right now would look to somebody like 200 years ago, and like all the crazy things that have happened since then. Kind of interesting, but the more I think about it, the more it intimidates me. The more I just keep thinking big picture, and then you just seem really small. You're just a small little thing. Which there's some piece to that in some aspects, I suppose. But
I know. I mean, don't you sometimes fantasize about living in like the world 100 or 200 years ago and dying of malaria instead of living in our current political climate?
Yeah, sometimes that seems like a simpler life.
It does seem like I mean,
Biggest fear
it's
in
got
Larry.
it's a whole different set of problems, right? But yeah, this modern age.
Yeah, this modern age, I tell you. And then there's part of me that would like to go like 100 or 200 years into the future. Be like we've come this far. What happens next? What am I missing?
Do you think there would be flying cars, or do you just think it would just be ash, just nothing but a barren wasteland?
Just I'm thinking more barren wasteland. Like I feel like if we're gonna have flying cars, we'd have them by now.
Yeah, I want like Alien or Prometheus or something like that sort of advancement. But I feel like we'll just be
people living in bunkers, just trying to forge to survive. There's like Fallout or something.
Or that Silo show. I don't imagine you watch that.
Silo? Is it called Silo?
Yeah. It's a book too.
Was it a book before it was a show?
They live in the silo. Yeah. Okay. It's an old book. I don't know how old, but
I'm not a big reader of books, if I'm being honest. I like reading more about history than books, but you know what I love reading more than anything else?
What's that?
The comments. Let's go. That's got to be a top tier transition right there.
That was going to be my first guess.
That was your first guess. Well, the first two wouldn't have counted anyways. I would have given you 3. So, okay. First comment here, Cody Girl. All the work you do to create, edit, and publish the podcast is appreciated. And I wanted to say that I appreciate every one of you for sticking around. We did take the last week off, just a little break. We had a really good run, 68 weeks in a row. We really had to like gear it up for episode 69. So we
just a couple of dudes making a big deal about 69.
Yep, totally normal thing to do. Hell yeah, brother. Cody Girls hangs out in the streams often throughout the week that I've been doing, back on YouTube doing streams, and it's been a lot of fun. Going through and hanging out with people. I think she mentioned one time that she plays a drinking game where she takes a shot every time I giggle.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I mean, you got to be feeling pretty good by the end of that, and especially if you do it to the podcast, like there's two in like the last 30
And
seconds.
I know. Yep.
You're toast. You're toast, bro. So, thanks everybody. Appreciate the love and the support. So, next comment here, Gob 1996. I hope they give every cameo a wake up option. Doesn't need to combo start like Madame Bo's slide. Scorpion's cameo get out of there move should be invincible. Sometimes it has 2 hits of armor, sometimes it has 3. Just make it invincible, please. I think that would be like, I have a mixed feelings on this, to be honest, because it would be a cool like feature of the cameos that like your wake up option would be, you know, you have like an armored move and then you have a cameo move as well that you can use.
Yeah.
But like on the other hand, I think of like, you know, since the cameo system is made to kind of help you play in certain ways, it could be that you just pick this one cameo for that wake up feature, like Darius, for example. Like that's a pretty safe wake up. Like the whole reason you pick that cameo is to have that wake up attack. I don't know if that really makes sense to, you know, the same way that you would pick like Sub-Zero armor to try and get around zoning. You know, you pick this cameo for this one specific reason. Right? I feel like that'd be a way to kind of differentiate.
Does every cameo not? I thought every cameo had a summons that had iframe. Some worse than others, but don't. Maybe I'm wrong there. Some are obviously like really good, right? Like way better than others.
Yeah, definitely. Like Darius is one, Madame Bo is one. There's a
Janet.
Yeah, Janet is another one.
Janet's a safe.
Janice is safe. I actually didn't know that until recently, until I started like messing around with her with my like cameo project.
Yeah, usually when the cameo is used in the reversal window or the wake up window, then it has different frame data. So like Serena, Frost, Sonya, or whatever. Sonya's, you know, overhead goes from being +1, and if you use it as a reversal, it's like negative double digits. Same with like Frost. She's what, +4 after Ice Crash usually.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I think now she's -20. She doesn't wake up. Lots of pushback though. That's kind of hard to punish that. You have to have a pretty unique move like Quan standing 4 or something.
Melina ball roll. Just the good old reversal. If you have a combo starting special move that's fast enough to be used as reversal.
Old Faithful.
Let's go.
I do remember at the start of the game's launch, somebody, I'm not exactly sure where I got this from, but I heard that all of Shujinko's down forward steals, like just his half bar steals, were like his wake up attacks. So, yeah, like for Baraka Blade Charge or Johnny Cage Shadow Kick or something like that, all those moves that Shujinko does, but some of them do seem to work that way, but only I think because they're really fast. So I think like the iframe window of that is pretty short because
probably. It's when they flash yellow, right? You use them and they turn yellow, like when you hit them, how they flash red. So when they glow yellow, that's their invincibility.
Right. So yeah,
you kind of get an idea.
Either it's not programmed right or his is just fairly short. That's a good reminder about that yellow window. I have to maybe have a look at that and make sure if I understand that that's what's going on, or maybe I just made that up in my head and that's never actually a thing. It would be a super good feature.
A couple of weeks ago, I saw a tweet from you saying that you wish that APET Punch had invincibility frames. I was like, I know this guy doesn't want a combo starter that takes no cameo resources to also be an invincible wake up. I mean, typical Dink buff request, but that doesn't sound very reasonable to me. Do you still think that, or were you just caught up in the moment?
It's one of those things where like you gotta guess. Am I telling the truth or am I just shit posting? Like. Sometimes I see people post things and I'm like, that is way too much. Like, what are you doing here? And sometimes I just lean into it myself. Sometimes I don't. But I think if you made just the APEP punch itself, invincible, and then it just wasn't able to combo into anything, it was just a single attack.
It can't be canceled, but it still doesn't take any resources.
No, but again, that's why it is a high though too. So I mean, you just duck it. If you're reading it, that's why I chose that one, because if you chose the kick, that would be a little crazy. But I don't know. There's just an idea. I have all these crazy ideas. Standing 3, Quan standing 3, having less recovery frames, maybe.
Crazy ideas or hot takes?
Well, I call them crazy ideas. I like to think of them as just quirky little opinions, but somebody might call it a hot take. I don't know. It all depends on your outlook on things, I think. So, yeah. Anyways, thanks for the comments. Last comment here. Timification. That's a great name, by the way. Have another question for you. Been really enjoying Quan after the new patch. Feel like he is more viable, although he still needs a little more, I think. For my money's work, his biggest issues are the push-away portal being unreliable and the fact that his EX down back 4 tentacle grab takes 2 bars to launch. I use it to end combos sometimes when I have the bar, but it feels so wasteful, especially with how much meter you need for Quan zoning. So my question is, what are your thoughts on EX down back 4? Why do you think they made it 2 bars, and do you think it should be changed? I think at this point in time, they've had nearly 2 years to change it. It is what it is. That's what it's going to be. I'm not hoping for any changes. And I think now that they gave him the Psycho Skull as a 1-bar launcher, I don't really think he needs the 2-bar launcher either. Another hot take, somebody mentioned this in my chat the other day. I was like, that could be an interesting change, is if the enhanced one went full screen and didn't launch and just like slammed them down. So you'd spend 2 bars for like a full screen low, essentially, that just knocked them down. So I thought that was kind of interesting because, like, yeah, it's expensive. You don't get a combo, but it's a full screen low mixed in with his new overhead that he has. So I don't know if that would be too overpowered.
I think Tim's question answers itself. I think that it's deliberate, right? That their idea is that you are correct. You need meter for zoning, and it costs 2 bars if you're going to be using a button special canceled into a combo starter instead of whatever. Just they force you to make that choice, right? And do you ever use like down back 4 when it's like, okay, well, I got 2 bars, the combo's about to end, I can extend it here, and you obviously can't. So a Psycho Skull can't be used off of every button, right? Like it'll only combo from certain ones. Where does every button, anytime you could special cancel, would that go into down back 4? Plus you can use it at the end of combos to extend and things like that.
Yeah, because it's like forward 4. If they're in the air, it will always combo into that. I don't think I've ever ran into a situation where forward 4 doesn't, where that will whiff afterwards. So like you can always use it to extend, and then it launches them pretty high in the air too. So like the only time I really ever use it is if I'm just dunking on someone and I'm just like, I don't need my meter to beat you, or if I'm like right at the end of the match, meter doesn't matter anyways, spend the 2 bars just to extend it a little bit more and get that combo. But
right, I mean, it does suck. Like you're comboing, you spend 2 bars on the tentacle, and then you do your knockdown into portal, and if you want to do an EX fireball, that's all 3 of your bars, right? Yeah, it's like max resources.
Yeah, and like the combo that you do
max
with the tentacle combos isn't even that great. Like if you use,
I know, yeah.
It, like, especially with like, I don't know, depending on the Kameo you have, you're looking at maybe like the high 300s where like you can do much better combos with 1 bar with a Psycho Skull for 1 bar and into the 400s and stuff like that easy. So the idea is that the low's a bit of a mix up, although it's not much of a mix up. It's pretty slow if you know Quan's frame data.
Right. Kind of just like another tool, little another tool to pull out every once in a while, like when you're in the middle of a situation where you could continue the combo, but you can't, maybe it's not your normal route, like straight hit, whatever it may be, to where the Psycho Skull can't do that for you, or you don't get your meterless launcher from the back 3 string or the standing 1 string.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of those things where like NRS is being very deliberate about how they want Quan to play, like by his slow frame data, that 2-bar launcher. Like they want him to be focusing 900 health. He was meant to be away from the opponent, and when he gets in, he's got the armor portal for kind of his defense to make up for slow buttons. So they're very deliberate in how they want him to play, and I definitely respect that. I think they're doing a good job of that. And I think that there are some people that really, really like Quan Chi as a character, and they're super cool, but they want him to play in a way that he doesn't. Like the amount of people saying give him a 7-frame move and blah, blah, blah. It's very deliberate that he is not that character. He's been that way for how many years now? They ain't changing it, you know. And, you know, when they did buff him, they gave him a full screen overhead, you know, in his kick. So like,
Right.
they're just kind of hinting more what they want you to do, and it's a physical move, so it'll counter the Sub-Zero armor, which is the anti-zoning tool. So like, all of these things kind of together are very deliberate in how they want Quan Chi to play, and I definitely respect that. And it's kind of how I've thought, and I've always kind of thought that. And like every patch that comes, I'm like, are they going to give him a 7-frame move? Are they going to make that move 1 bar instead of 2 bars? And they don't. And I'm like, okay, I've got the read here. I can see the vision that they're going for. So it's just, I get it. If people really like the character, they want to play him as like rush down in your face combo machine, but like, he's not the guy to do that. You know, then maybe find a different character that you like to do that with, you know, or just accept that the character has some flaws. You know, he's not a great character, even after, now that the dust has settled and everything, and I've had some time to play with Quan, he's still not like a top tier character. He is moved up quite a bit, I will say.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Is being like a Melina, like somebody that plays Melina in every Mortal Kombat, and then they finally put her in MK11 in that last combat pack, and she was so bad. People just begrudgingly played her, right? And it's like the Quan conversation, the same sort of, and like, and dude, every time I played against somebody, they're like, yeah, she's anyway.
Yeah,
I know the feeling, and it does suck when I play this character every game, and then they just happen to. Even if they're not necessarily bad, I'm using finger quotes here, like bad, they just don't really fit you stylistically. You know, like MK Javier plays Scorpion in every single game. So no matter how he was in this game, whether it was Rushdown or what he turned into in this game, you know, kind of dry, not gonna lie, but you know, he's playing him and putting in the work.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. And I mean, there are loyalists out there, and it depends on the level of the gameplay that you play too, right? Like if you're playing Combat League or you want to go into tournaments, that's going to be a different mentality than whether you're just kind of funking through or invasions and like just playing casually, like with your buddies or whatever. So, I mean, there's, you know, quality of life things like, you know, giving them a 7-frame move or making that tentacle, you know, 1 bar might be very, you know, beneficial if you're playing, you know, invasions or something like that, or more casually. But if you're playing competitively, there's a different mindset that goes with that, and changing those things could cause some unforeseen circumstances. You know,
it does suck. It really, really sucks playing MK1 with a character that doesn't have good pokes. Whether that's range or whether that's speed, but if like your down 1 is or bad, then man, that sucks. That's a bad feeling.
Yeah, it's it does suck a lot, especially when, because like I find myself trying to steal my turn back, trying to poke under highs instead of, you know, counter poking because I know I can't. And like most of the time, I don't even use Quan's down 1. I'll just use his down 4, which is 13 frames, because it has a disjointed hitbox. It pushes them away a little bit if they block it, and it has enough cancel advantage that you can get the armor portal afterwards. So instead of playing a counter poking game, I try and just kind of wait for my moment and throw that one out instead, and then just use that to cancel into armor. And then that's where I can kind of manipulate frame data with the armor portal, which I'm, to be honest, not a huge fan of. I wish they would have designed him differently. He's very much designed around that as far as his defense goes, and I just don't think it's that great.
Man, instead of an armor portal, if they would have given him a meter portal, like something that would be on his side, so you're choosing between the zoning one, and well, I guess he can have multiples outright. It doesn't matter; they're not overriding each other. But it'd be on his side, and it would just like build meter or something.
Yeah, like it would.
Which should make the opponent anxious to want to get in on you, and then you know you still have the kind of shitty tracking standing 4. So if they know their way around. I say if they know their way around it, but so many people avoid it on accident just because it is kind of like bad against things, especially if they have anything with like really good forward momentum or just even like a forward jump or something, right?
Yep.
But the idea to kind of keep them caged that way, all while that'd be cool to have like a little, like, I guess it'd be redundant with Serena.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be. I mean, then you're kind of doubling down like Cyrax does, and that can be kind of problematic, I guess. But like, it'd be cool if he had a portal that like summoned like wherever the two characters are on the screen, like just summoned right directly in the middle of both of them, and it drained the person's meter if they were in it, and it gave you meter if you were in it. I think that would be cool and like infinitely better than the armor portal, personally. But
He should summon a portal like the ones that the tongues and stuff come out of, and it should could be like Donatello's trap in Injustice 2 that kind of like sucks you in if you're like it sucks you towards it.
Oh yeah, that would be kind of neat. And like, yeah, maybe he could place it like behind the opponent, and like if someone's pressuring him, you know, it kind of pulls them off slowly, like kind of how the stupid push away portal was kind of supposed to work and fucking doesn't at all. I hate that thing so much. I think they mentioned in that comment actually that the push away portal just does not work as intended. You know, people.
Dude, I remember during my my Natara era how useless that thing is in that matchup because she just goes right over it, right? Just dives right over it.
Just dive kick right over it. And like, yeah, sure, maybe I could try and bait it, but heaven forbid I actually commit to try and hitting her. Then I'm playing this mind game of you're floating up and, oh, am I dive kicking over it or I'm just floating up? And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. Am I going to do something?
Right, bait out a standing 3 or something like that, and then it's GG's.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and you have 900 health, and she shits out damage. So, yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about that matchup in general? I'm salty for you, just kind of thinking about it.
I mean, a good Natara is always scary, you know, no matter what. And she's got that lower health too, but I mean, she can get hers back by doing a 50% combo and getting life back too. That's yeah, no, now I'm getting salty thinking about it. Yeah, just especially like Natara Sonya, who's like got like dive kicks on dive kicks on dive kicks and back.
Dude, that Sonya overhead can hit so low. It's so funny to see some of those really shallow Natara air dashes canceled into the Sonya dive kick and how low to the ground those get, and it still hits overhead.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I don't like that matchup at all. Mind you, I haven't really played it since the latest update, so mind you, I don't really see it being that much better because her movement is so fast. It has trouble with my my standing 4 and my down forward 4, like tracking her. She just moves around so quick. I don't really. It might be marginally better just due to little quality of life things, but I still think it's probably in Natara's favor. She dropped off. I don't really even see her that much anymore. I don't know if it's
dropped off the way that Ashra did, right? I just think when they first buffed her and she was everywhere. She was public enemy #1, I feel like 2 summers ago. Yep. Man, people hated that character and she totally fell off. I think like Johnny, Natara, Ashra, who else was always, they used to be like on the most wanted list that people are like, you know, they're like a solid A tier now just because there's so much better shit in the game.
It's true.
I would put those 3 characters there for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you. And then like, they're not bad characters.
Johnny actually got nerfed. Ashra and Natara really didn't get nerfed, but
no, Ashra's just getting buffs. Isn't she one of the characters that just has been silently getting all these buffs throughout the years?
She's getting the frost treatment, or they're just giving her little things. They don't want to overtune it.
I mean, which is fair because the character is she's quite strong, and we've seen that quite a bit. You know, through players like Gi Exceptional and Desda and all those people putting in work with young Ashra, just armoring around. Young Monster doing all the teleport shenanigans. That looks so annoying to deal with. I would hate to have to play that.
She has to come back in the next game. I was thinking the other day, and I've said this before, I've told this story before, but man, I was so just kind of like whatever. I played lots of fighting games, right? And after like MK11, I was just, oh, another Mortal Kombat. Okay, we'll see. You know, I know that I'll buy it. It's just a matter of like, how much am I anticipating it? Am I going to pre-order it and things like that? And it wasn't until that Evo, the Reptile trailer, that revealed Ashra that I was like officially on board. Like, the redesign is also super sick.
Yeah, I love what they did. I love what they did with her, and I think that's a good way to jump into this topic about. On that, who do we think, based on this NRS era, is going to come back for the next Mortal Kombat game? Because Mortal Kombat 1 brought back like I think with the cameo system, I think that's the most Mortal Kombat characters we've ever seen in a game. That's outside of like the old like 3D games or whatever, but
Right.
just the actual characters themselves. So, and it's kind of an interesting because I was thinking about this the other day about like the core characters that like don't miss a game, and I'm like, does not missing a game also mean like cameos? Because like Sonya was in MK9, MKX, MK11, but then was, do I say relegated to cameo status? Does that make sense? Or like,
Should you make a tier list? Make a couple categories, right? Like the shoe-ins, because we know Sub-Zero and Scorpion and Johnny and Liu Kang are gonna be there, and then the hopefuls,
yeah, like I feel like
and then the no way.
the no ways. And there's so many like stragglers too, right? Like you think of like Shiva, for example, like was in MK9, mixed MKX, came back in MK11, wasn't in MK1. I was full on expecting Kintaro in MK1 because like you had like you had them both actually in MK9, then Goro in MKX, Shiva in MK11. It would have just made sense to have Kintaro as the next Shokan, but no, they went with Goro again.
They gave us Motaro instead. No, I think they gave us Motaro instead. Like, they really wanted Goro. I guess they did go back to Goro, right? But I think that if he was going to be in, it was going to be between. If we're going to animate another pain in the ass character, it's got to be one of those. Well, we got to choose.
I mean, that's true, and we didn't see Motaro for or in any of the. Well, I think he was in like a cutscene
Not
in MK9.
playable. Yeah, he was in MK9's story, but you didn't fight against him or anything.
No, he's just kind of there. I think he gets like Raiden Superman through a bridge or something like that at one point. But yeah, like I actually would have probably had Ashura as not returning. Be honest, and just in my opinion of like characters, like I think they did her super cool. She has a super cool aesthetic, and her whole thing with like the light and dark and that kind of a thing. But I think I don't know. She kind of felt like a one and done kind of thing to me. I don't know. Do you really see her being, or are you just kind of hoping that she kind of returns?
It's probably like hopium, right? But like in my mind, I feel like Ashura or Natara is going to come back, but not both.
Right. Yeah.
I think if you put those characters side by side, especially in the story, I think, just my personal opinion, Ashura is the more complete package. Like, listen, and granted, a lot of that's the voice acting. When you watch those scenes with those two together, like legitimate voice actors versus whatever we got for like the Natara thing, it makes it just worse, right? Like listening to Sonya and MK11, right, with all these other people that sound very convincing and stuff, and it makes the contrast just makes it like way worse.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that Natara would be the one that I would be interested under different circumstances, because it kind of felt like Natara, like maybe they had a different idea for her and then things went south and they're just like, fuck it, get Megan Fox. She's Natara now.
I would like a more like gothic Natara, the way they did her in the first Mortal Kombat movie. I thought she looked awesome. Like in my opinion, that's the best Natara's ever looked. I don't really like the pixie hair and her default skin in this one, and she definitely, she's got the vampire thing and the wings and all of that, and her Order of Darkness is I don't know what, like Sons of Anarchy Natara, like Biker Club Natara. She feels like she's out to go out to the club, sort of thing. All the spikes and her leather and stuff.
Right. Yeah, like she belongs in like MK11 Kano's stage or something.
She's in From Dusk Till Dawn or something.
Yeah, so I would like to see her return with a different design. I think they could have made her a lot cooler than what she is in this game. And she's not terrible, to be honest, in this game. And I think she looks pretty cool, considering we haven't seen her in a game in 20 years. But I would probably put her in the not returning part of
Natara
things.
And Ashura both?
Honestly, yeah, maybe. I would have probably, if I'm like guessing, here, like gun to my head, who's not going to be in the next game, I'd probably say neither of them make the cut, to be honest.
Tell me right now or I'll kill you.
Yeah.
Is Natara going to be in the next game? Please. I have a son. No, she's not.
I have a family.
I have a family.
Oh, if you're taking shots for giggles, you're definitely fucked up right now. So another interesting one, like the two that I was thinking of the most are like Sonya and Kano, right? Because they're both in, I believe, every NRS game, and then in this game they're both cameos. Kano is super duper. Well, I guess they're both super simple, right? Just 3 or 4 moves and like basic, 2D era designs, kind of a thing. But they do feel like staples. Like I would be kind of like sad if I didn't see them in a Mortal Kombat game, if I'm being honest. But
when Mortal Kombat 2 came out in the arcades, I wasn't sad that both of them were missing.
That's true. They were in the background of Shao Kahn stage, I think, if I remember correctly. Like chained up or something. Or maybe that's a different game.
I think Sonya for sure. They both probably will. And I feel like MK11's the last time they're going to leave Melina out. I feel like Katana and Melina as a pair are now equivalent as far as this is concerned, right? Including them in things like Scorpion and Sub-Zero. You can't break them up, and that's kind of like Kung Lao and Liu Kang as well. I feel like they come in pairs.
Yeah, they're just always, which makes like which kind of inflates like the core roster, right? Like you have like Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Melina, Katana, and then. Could you argue maybe like Kano, Sonya, kind of the same idea?
Yeah, they belong together. Or Sonya Jax.
Yeah. Sonya Jax, and Kano, they have like a little love triangle thing. I feel like like you can't have a game without the three of them. Like one of them.
Jax was who was in Mortal Kombat 2. Instead as the special forces person and not Sonya, right? Jackson Briggs, who Sonya reported to. So, he's the the boss is here.
The boss is here.
Sort of thing. So I think Jax will also be back. I remember him being one of the later characters that was revealed for MK11. I wasn't sure if they're going to bring him back.
That's funny. I just remember that one video of that dude who's just watching like Jax walk in on the screen. It was like the Jax film, and like, damn, she got a bad though. It's like zooming in on his ass, and
yeah, because he was dressed in the Chronica outfit, and so it was just this. A good
framing.
Nice set of buttocks in that tight white material after they had just shown Frost, and this poor man was duped into thinking it was Frost, and the camera pans up and it's Jax.
His reaction was priceless. I just remember that meme.
It'll live on forever.
It will indeed. So, and then I don't know. Do you think we'll see Frost again? I know you like Frost, but I'm just.
No, I think we will, because they brought her back for MK11, and then they at least included her as a cameo. I think that we will see Frost again.
Okay, interesting. I like that. Do you think she is like staple? She's not staple status though, no, right? Like she's not like a Frost and Sub-Zero kind of a thing.
No staples. I don't think there's any staples outside of Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Liu Kang. I guess we just talked about Melina, Katana. I guess if I'm going to stick with that.
Kung Lao, like that's like, well, what about Raiden? Oh, we forgot about Raiden.
Yeah, Raiden's got to be around to fuck something up. Like,
it's true.
He's kind of like in everything, right? Because he's a big part of the story always.
Yeah,
he's the one that's been driving the story the last few games.
Yeah, he almost feels like the well, I mean, not so much in MK1, I guess, but.
I would put Frost in like the same league as a character like Reptile, Ashra, Natara, Scarlet, characters like that I could go like either way. I'm sure they're part of the conversation. It's just a matter of resources and whatever other considerations that they have as far as their size and who else they want to be included. And I'm sure a big part of that is like, how they fit into the story, because they all kind of feature that way.
So what about the cyborgs, Sector and Cyrax? Because they were in MK9, kind of transformed them into Triborg in MKX, and then just omitted them in MK11, but kind of doubled down in MK1 where they're at like main roster and cameo. So
main roster and cameos, and they had the whole kind of like identity swap and stuff. I have to say, out of all of those versions of the Borgs, I really like Triborg, but that would imply that there would be like some sort of variation system that they would introduce, which I wouldn't even be against. And I've said this before. If they did all of the characters with variations the way that they did the Ninja Turtles in Injustice 2 and the way they did Triborg, to where they have like this core move set, but enough like little distinctions and things that like make them, I don't know. I don't feel like the other variations did as well as Triborg. Just seems like so unique. Just the
definitely.
way it, especially the way that it fits thematically.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't mind the variation system. I think that they had two different ideas in MK11 and MKX, and both of them weren't implemented very well. But I like the idea behind it. But to be honest, like, I'm kind of excited to just go back to having a move list. You know, like, just give me a list of moves that I can use, and characters do certain things, and you have your zoner and your grappler and your archetypes and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like I had this exact same feeling in MK11, where it was like, just give us the archetypes, because it didn't really exist in that game. Everyone was like poke throw, and then you do have a little bit more originality in MK1, but I wouldn't mind just going back to like an MK9 style, like, here's your moves list, figure it out kind of idea, you know? Is that kind of...
Man, and I want hard knockdown. I want tech rolling to come back, right? Like not wake up roll from MK11, but actually like tech rolling from Injustice and previous NRS titles where you hit the button as you hit the ground and you kind of roll backwards, unless it's a hard knockdown, because it forces decisions about like and changes your combo path. Are you going to go for Oki, like a setup with guaranteed spacing? Because you also have delay wake up and stuff like that to worry about, right? That you maybe don't in other games that aren't NRS. But I like the idea of like, okay, well, I'm going to do this combo that's a little bit less damage, but it gives me the spacing I need for, this meaty into pressure. And if they, decide to disrespect that, they wake up mashing, you get another combo. Bonus points if it also like armor breaks or something. I
Right.
don't know. I would like a little bit more depth in that sort of department, and they've had it in other games. I don't know why they removed it, obviously because of the defensive bar and the wake up rolls in MK11, but they just never put it back in this game.
Man, there's so many times of me going through finding combos and setups and blah blah blah, and like being like, hey, check out this cool setup, and someone's like, oh, cool, can I tech roll it? And I'm like, maybe.
I know.
And then there goes that setup. Just tech roll.
I know, it's so nice to have something that covers both, right? You just have a good button, or a button with a lot of active frames, so we'll hit them like either way. Early frames or late frames, like it doesn't matter. Like it kind of, Injustice has, stuff like that, and do that, and that's the fun of like labbing. Isn't just combos with your cameo. It's all the setups, all the knockdowns.
Yeah, finding stuff that works. Like if I do want a hard knockdown, how do I end this combo? If I want to maybe bait a tech roll and try and get like a safe jump, is there something I can do there, or that kind of a thing? So, and then just things like that have been lost to time. Between like you said, I think Injustice 2 was the last time that we saw something like that. So I don't know. I agree with you though. I hope they bring it back. I hope we never see the regenerating meter ever again though. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea, but I'll remind you, a lot of the things in MK11 I wasn't a huge fan on. Fatal blows, I kind of would be surprised if they didn't bring them back, but I'm not a fan of them, to be honest. Like, I don't know. Crushing blows were a nice idea, but weren't implemented very well.
I would like to see, instead of crushing blows, an actual counter system that like literally every other fighting game has. Whereas if this is like in Street Fighter, you get 2 extra frames of advantage on a counter hit and 4 extra frames if it's a punish or something, so that you can get combos that you normally couldn't, or faster buttons that don't naturally combo into slower special moves that could be combo starting or something. They will if it's a punish, right? Because you have those just few extra frames. Yeah. I would love to see something like that, but like in Mortal Kombat, So like in Tekken, if somebody's like -10, most characters' fastest button is 10 frames, and it's just a jab. Sometimes it goes into a string that can lead into like, pressure, or you get a little bit of hit advantage, but it's not a full fuck all combo. Whereas like in this game, right, you're -8, here comes Melina standing 1 into the biggest combo I can do if I want to use meter. It's not our biggest starter meterless, but I just feel like having access to your biggest damage off your fastest buttons kind of takes away some of the risk reward and some of just like the payoff. Like I just feel like there could be like a better back and forth, and people could do things that are, you feel like the risk just starts so early in Mortal Kombat, right? The second that you're -8, that has this basically the same risk as being like -25, right? Like if you're in certain characters' faces, because the punish is going to be the same like either way. I would like to see like a little bit more of a divide, and so people can feel more comfortable taking like, oh, it's punishable, right? But it's still lower risk because the punish isn't going to be that big. I lose the situation, they gain pressure. Now I'm in strike throw or like whatever it's going to be. And then if I really fuck up, wake up slide or something like that, now it's time to cash out.
Right.
I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I actually would agree. I haven't played other fighting games well enough to kind of understand those intricacies of it, but like, yeah, having something where like, say, maybe Quan's 1-2 tentacle costs 1 bar for to launch instead of 2 if you did it off of a punish kind of idea, something like that. Is that kind of along the same line?
Yeah.
Something that just
no,
a reward.
Yeah, exactly. Or you get like a unique advantage. Like if you punish with your standing 3 as Quan, then it has like a different hit reaction or something.
Right.
Things like that. There's a lot that they could do with it. I don't think that they will, and people can roast me if they think that's a bad idea. I just really like that that's a big part about what I like about other fighting games. The most we get in this game, right, is just a notification just confirming that it was a counter hit or that it was a punish. It's like, well, thanks for the info. Now
Yeah.
I can say, like, you were mashing. I know you were mashing. It said counter hit. Of course you're mashing, right? It's good for that, but not for much else.
Hey, sometimes you gotta mash. The amount of times I say that on my streams, I was mashing. I mashed through that, especially with slow buttons. Abare?
Hey, mash away. I did feel like everything is just until they can prove like differently. Like mash on your negative frames, and if they're not stopping it, it's up to them to stop that, right? And then once they think that you're respecting it, they go to take their turn with the slower button, and then you start mashing again, right? You gotta keep them in check. But
you gotta,
just like any situation, do it, and if you get beat, just be mindful of it the next time you're in the same situation, and then you just got to mix up your options. And sometimes that option is mashing.
Yeah. I get that hate all the time after I play a Combat League set. People say that, like, you're mashing, bro, you're mashing. Well, you let me. So I don't know what to tell you. Or the classic, like, you only know 1 combo, bro. Like, I only needed 1 combo. Why am I going to be doing all these other crazy combos if the one I'm doing is working? No.
My favorite are the ones that's like, yeah, nice ninja killer combos. Go get your own combos. Like everyone's got like dibs. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. This is the only person that could have thought to do a forward 3 after a scorpion spear or something.
Totally. Yeah, that's the classic online salt. I wonder how much we're going to see with that when in the or how if they're even going to be voice chat in with Legacy collection that's coming out.
I hope not.
I also hope not. Mind you, I don't really know how much I'll be playing it, if I'm being honest. I'm going to get it because like I'm a Mortal Kombat fan and all that kind of stuff, but I really don't see myself. I definitely want to play through that Special Forces game because that looks like just dumb fun.
Yeah.
Like a terrible game that I've just go through and just
I'm pretty sure Ed Boon's on the record saying if he could undo any of the games, that would be the one. That's his like one regret.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to play that. I want to experience that regret. Ed, I'm sorry, but I want to see what the hype's about. Why? If he says that he dislikes that so much, I really just want to firsthand see why. And maybe maybe I'll play it for like half an hour and be like, you know what? I get it, Ed. I get why you don't like this. Or maybe I'll really enjoy
Since we last talked, they also announced Mythologies, right?
They did. Yeah, and a version of Ultimate MK3 that was like, I've been watching a lot of videos about this. It's actually super interesting that like this like very first early online edition of Ultimate MK3 what was it called, WaveNet or something, I think. That was like this slightly like altered version. Like there was Striker's Infinite.
It ran on the internet.
Away.
It needed a dedicated T1 internet line. And it was the last version of the game. Like it kind of came in at the end of the arcade era. I watched somebody else talk about it. But that's my understanding. So and there weren't very many of the machines either, not for MK3, because they had them for others that weren't MK3. And it was during the time that MK4 was like the more relevant game. So a lot of people paying attention to MK4. So there's not a lot of evidence, not a lot of documentation, old forum posts and things like that.
Yeah, there's like a couple of mentions, and I think like one screenshot of it in like the background of a commercial or something like that.
But it's supposed to be more balanced, less. A couple characters got their infinites removed, and I think Noob's going to be playable, which makes it. So I watched Ketchup's video, and I watched one other. I don't remember, but I think this is the first time Noob will actually be playable as his own character in an arcade engine or whatever, because he's always just been a swap due to resource limitations.
And even in like the original game or whenever he was actually a Kano sprite, and I didn't know that until I was watching some videos about it, and they like zoomed in. I was like, oh yeah, you're right, that's just Kano. I just assumed he was like Scorpion or Sub-Zero or something, like palette swapped, but no, he's just Kano and just with a black color over top of him. So I would, if I was to play any game, like get to know any game in like a higher ish level, that would probably be the one that I would dive into, because it was the more tournament relevant game back then. But there were other characters in that game that were still like super duper top tier. Ermac was up there, Human Smoke. So no really mention of those. But
if the Legacy Collection's something that people can use to play tournaments and stuff like that, like it's stable and the input delay and stuff like that is good, and people can like compete in it, I think it's in line with like MK9, and it will have that size for competitions, maybe even like a little bit bigger, right? And that's kind of like MKX has fallen into that too, as far as like side tournaments and things like that, like the bring your own console tournaments that they just had at Evo and others. So that's cool. We'll have another game in the fold.
And I guess my question is, with the release of this MK Legacy, is this kind of like hint that maybe the next NRS game isn't Mortal Kombat, that maybe they're going back to Injustice, and then this is kind of like a tide us over for the Injustice era until we get back to Mortal Kombat kind of a thing? Or like, am I just overthinking that?
I think that this has been like a long time coming. And finally, with all of WB's problems and all that stuff, and it's like, why the fuck haven't we done like a legacy thing like literally everybody else has? This is going to be a cash cow. People will buy this. Why haven't we done it? We don't want to license our own IP to like whatever the legal reasons may have been with Midway and WaveNet and all that other stuff. Who even knows?
Right.
But I think this has been a long time coming. This is like one of those things like, why isn't Michael Myers a guest character? It seems so obvious. And it's like, it is obvious. I'm sure they've thought about that, right? Like they've even talked about it. And sometimes you just can't get the.
Well, even like look at the whole Ash Williams thing, right? Like his name was literally in official emails from NRS that went out to people and then ended up just like quietly being swept under the rug. Like shit like that happens all the time. I mean, I don't know. It's you could be right. I did see a tweet the other day. That's this morning. The other day. Fuck, my days all kind of blend together. It is definitely nothing official or anything like that. It's just some dude saying that he met Superman's voice actor and that he said that he's working on Injustice 3. And then I saw a bunch of people quote retweeted and all this kind of stuff. It's like couldn't be more unofficial, but it is just kind of an interesting thing if it is something. But I haven't heard anything.
I don't know. I feel like that's pretty amateur to be a voice actor and just be casually breaking NDAs with a random fan at Gamescom or wherever this was and stuff.
Yep. Like that's how they announce Injustice 3 is,
I mean, maybe it's so the conspiracy theorist in me here. Check this out, because it wasn't just the Superman guy. I'm pretty sure I saw another tweet talking about Phil Lamar.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, he definitely knows better. He definitely knows. I don't think that Phil Lamar is going around being like, oh yeah, Injustice 3's coming, right? Unless, here's my tinfoil hat, they told him to do that. If there was an opportunity to bring it up, make it sound to kind of be either a hype generator or to kind of get a temperature of what the reaction would be. Would people be like, oh shit, another Injustice? Or would they be like, right? Maybe it's something like that.
I like that theory a lot better than just like straight up not being a thing, because it's something to think about, right? Like, which would suck is that like if the reception is pretty negative, because they've confirmed that they're already working on their next project, so like they're probably already like closing in on this game. So like to put the feelers out there and just to see how people react, and they're like, actually, no, I don't want to see Injustice again. They're like, well, you are. So
right, but now that we know that, or we have a feeling that that's the sentiment, that's going to change the trajectory of the way that we market this game, and maybe how early we start talking about it and what we start talking about first, and things like that.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely like that. I like your little conspiracy theory. And like, it's a shame because like Ed Boon would totally do something like that. He likes those little things, just like get a little rumor out there, just get a little hint, and so and so saw this from this guy at this one event and nobody else heard from it. He likes things like that, but unfortunately, WB probably does not. So who knows? It's hard to say, but like you said, if the Phil Lamar thing is legit, he definitely knows his stuff on that end. So I don't know. We'll see. It's all speculation for the time being anyways. I'm just waiting. I'm assuming we're going to hear something at Game Awards. I don't really anticipate anything after that or before that, to be honest, but
if it comes out, so when's Game Awards? December?
Usually in December, yeah.
And so that was what happened in MK for MK11, right? They announced it at the Game Awards in December, and then we had a stress test like the next month, and then there was the beta. The game came out that following April. The previous games they'd announced a year before, right? So when they were done with MKX, they announced Injustice 2 like in spring of 2016, and it was like a literal year until the game came out. And I'm pretty sure that, didn't they also do that with MKX? Didn't they announce that pretty early, like a year before it came out?
It was...
maybe I'm wrong on that.
No, MKX was I think it was along the same lines as MK11, where I think they announced it in December and then it came out in the spring.
Okay, maybe I'm just off altogether on those.
I could be misremembering it because I remember I don't think there was a stress test for MKX. There was a stress test for the rollback netcode, I think, but there wasn't for the actual game. But I was pretty sure it came out pretty quickly after it was announced. I'm going to go look into it after we're done here because I'm actually curious myself. But I do remember MK11 because I was invited to the reveal event. And like, yeah, that was December and the game came out in March, April, somewhere in there. And like that game was complete. That game was like, it wasn't MK1. So like, we know that if that's the time frame that they usually are, they seem to be pretty comfortable with calling it and that few months out. So here's hoping anyways. I don't really see, because I don't see them announcing anything at Final Combat. I mean, it is on HBO Max, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think that really will hit the target demographic they're looking for.
They would want, a way bigger stage like the Game Awards or something. That's definitely one of those sorts of games. I don't think they would, Final Combat is where I would expect an announcement like, hey, we're doing a season 3 or, Combat Pack 3, which we know neither are coming, right? But let's say that it was still ambiguous or something. That's where we would. I mean, if there was going to be another Combat Pack, I have a feeling that we'd have a different sort of like support right now, obviously. But Final Combat is a place where they would like announce that, like the next DLC character or the trailer for the DLC that we already know is coming, but the first like gameplay trailer or something.
Right. Yeah, the actual game itself, it's not big enough for that, just like an individual character for people that are already paying attention to the game, right? So that makes, I kind of agree with you on that one, but we'll see. Apparently that wasn't the last patch, still another patch coming, and then final combats in about a month from now, just under a month from now. So be exciting to see if they announce anything there at all. But that being said, that's going to do it for us for another week. Thanks for hanging out, friends. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It really helps me out. And subscribe if you haven't. Make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff. And we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.